In terms of capital raising measures, how have we performed? Maurice.
Thank you. If you look at the Jubilee administration, especially again in terms of how they raise funds to finance government operations, they did issue a Eurobond, which was the first one in the Kenyan's history. And again, it was well oversubscribed, even almost four plus times. And if you look at it, the question that now we are supposed to ask ourselves is, were the proceeds from the Eurobond utilized in the manner in which they were supposed to be used? Because where we were even seated here, there are still some question marks around how the proceeds were used. But in the truth of the matter is that at least they ensured that the Kenyan bond, Kenyan floated the Eurobond in the global markets, and again that one helped in improving the profile of the country. But again, of key that the thing that Kenya should not forget is now we can use that bond just to determine the level of risk and how international investors are viewing our country. If you look at the bond, was issued at a range of about between 5.75 and 6.7%, and now that bond is trading almost at 9% on a dollar, which means the level of riskiness of the Kenyan as a country has really increased. And if they can go back now at this particular point in time to issue another bond, they'll have to issue at those levels of 8-9% on a dollar, which is very expensive. So in terms of capital raising, again, they have tried, but they could have done it in a better way. Because if you look at even the impact of what they did locally, again, had some impact on macroeconomic stability of the country. We are coming from an environment where less than 12 months ago, 91-day T-bill was above 20%. We saw shilling trading at about almost 107 a dollar.
Yes.
We saw again inflation also edging up above the CBK upper target of 7.5%. And if you look at it, all this in totality, all this were pointing towards the government attempt to raise funds locally to fund their operations. Yeah.
And Tuitoek, of course, CS Rotich also mentioned that the Jubilee government has made it easy for Kenyans to access credit. Financial inclusion is at another level altogether. And from where you sit, has the cost of credit been addressed?
I relatively do not think so. One of the key concerns, one of the issues that the National Treasury indicated was why they took up the Eurobond was to make access towards credit in the domestic market to be lowered. This is because the government continued to crowd out the private sector from accessing borrowing. However, when we're looking at the recent release of rates by the Central Bank of Kenya, which was brought on because of the high interest rate regime, and as Maurice mentioned, with the 91-day at 22% in November, we've seen that the fiscal risk element is actually coming to play back into the domestic market, and it's affecting borrowing costs. Liquidity issues towards the end of the quarter. We continuously seeing that playing out in the market based on the fact that interest rates have marginally gone down, but not as fast as the Central Bank of Kenya would want it to. I think that's why they're introducing new regimes such as reviewing the whole KBRR formula. But all in all, there is a strong push in order to bring the costs down for the common Kenyans.
Okay. Of course, the other issue, Maurice, is they did promise that they will scale up infrastructure projects. We've seen the baths actually being constructed in Mombasa. JKIA, they have a new terminal. I mean, Anity Road projects almost getting it right. Where you see it, Maurice, how have we performed on infrastructure?
In terms of infrastructural projects, and that, to be honest, they have tried. And that one I can at least even say that they somehow made experience in terms of rolling out the projects. Because at least now we are talking about where standard gauge railway projects at least is ongoing. Yes. We've also seen the expansion of JKIA, which they are long-term projects that Kenya will stand to reap the dividend of all these projects in the long run. But how they could have done, they could have scaled it somehow a little bit so that they do it in bits, in pieces, so that at least it doesn't result into economic shocks locally. Because if you look at partly, the Eurobond that was raised was mainly mainly to fund infrastructural projects, and one of the projects was standard gauge railways. And now we are coming at a particular point in time where bonds was issued in Kenya and Europe now trading at about 9%. If we go now again raising money globally is very expensive, but now even now internally we can't even account for the money that was raised conclusively to the last coin. So in terms of projects and how they raised funds to fund this, these are two elements that we have to move together. But for project by project, if you look at Energy Gauge Railway, the JKIA, at least they have tried. They can say they are somehow matching towards meeting people's expectations.
Tuitoek, one thing, you can deliver the projects, but the companies that are in that line of service, for example, Kenya Airways, it's struggling at the moment. They did make a loss of 25 billion shillings. Their share price is trading right now at about 4 shillings. And they've actually asked for a bailout. As we expand the airport, the airline on this other hand is facing turbulence.
I think there's a need to address the JKIA infrastructure developments, the greenfield projects that's been waiting for quite a number of years was hastened after the fire. I do think we did see the executive take a hand in that.
Yes.
However, in terms of Kenya's competitiveness with the regional, with other regional players, there is a need for us to continue building up on these development projects. However, the main key thing is whether we're incurring too much debt in order to facilitate the developments of most of these projects. We're currently at nearly 52% GDP to debt ratio. We're slowly creeping up towards the unsustainable level heading towards Ghana, whilst most of our comparative peers throughout Sub-Saharan Africa are lower than that. We're seeing that the government is focused on LAPSET and other key infrastructural projects such as linking Lokicha with Eldoret on a road, and the phase 2 expansion of SGR between Nairobi and Naivasha starting in July. So there's so much development-led projects that are coming to the fore that are going to assist those sectors that you've mentioned. However, they need to balance between a decent level of debt management and also seeing which are best for Kenya's economic growth are key towards ensuring that we have a sustainable economy.
Fantastic. I'd like us to pause a bit and listen in to Transport and Infrastructure Cabinet Secretary James Macharia speaking about the SGR project. He's indicating that it will take you 4 hours to travel from Nairobi to Mombasa, something he says will be a major win for Kenya. Let's listen in.
By the end of this project, which is all related to the SGR, we shall have Mombasa doing about 2 million containers every year, meaning it will be the most important port on the eastern seaboard of Africa, competing with the best, the most active port in Africa, Durban. And we believe that with this port, we shall be able to overtake all our competitors. So it means a lot for us in terms of employment. As you saw, it's employing a lot of Kenyans. I'm told at its peak, it will be employing about 30,000 young men and women. We did the port in Kisumu for one reason, to hedge against the risk in case the railway goes to Malaba at the port with the border with Uganda, and for whatever reason, the railway does not proceed from Malaba. The port in Kisumu will be able to offload the goods, take them across the lake to the other countries in the region. We signed a protocol between 4 countries, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Southern Sudan. That's the genesis of this project. It is a regional project. So what I said was, yes, they are committed because actually Uganda itself chairs the SGR cluster meeting. The minister, my equivalent, actually chairs that meeting. So there'll be no question about them not doing it. But you know, there's always 0.000% risk.
Indeed, James Macharia there making interesting remarks regarding the Standard Gauge Railway, indicating that it is 75% complete. Of course, we do hope the project comes to life as the Jubilee administration carries on with their work in the country. Well, gentlemen, the other area of focus, of course, has been job creation. This was one of the major pledges made by the Jubilee administration, saying that they'll create 1 million jobs per year. We've looked at the numbers and it seems like they have missed these targets. Perhaps, Tuitoek, from where you sit, how are we doing on the issue around youth unemployment?
First off, in regards to jobs, annual rate is about 800,000 new jobs. Most of these, largely about 80 to 70%, are in the informal sector. So in terms of need to scale that up towards a formal basis, where we know the wage gaps are much higher, there is a strong need to instill that to get towards that 1 million mark. However, World Bank recently came out with a report indicating that youth unemployment within Kenya is nearly double that of Tanzania and Uganda.
Yes.
So from that aspect, we do see an urge whereby we are not meeting the level of new graduates who are churned out from university towards formal job systems. So creating and leveraging on the youth demographic that we have is a large need that we need to take advantage of, knowing that it is either a demographic dividend within the long term or it can be a boom.
Of course, Maurice, you're also passionate about enterprise development. This is also featuring prominently in the Jubilee Manifesto, that they'll be very keen on supporting SMEs, enterprise development, creating of special economic zones. How have we fared so far?
I think there, I'll say we have done well in that area, because if you look at it, even in terms of job creation for you, that was entrepreneurship is supposed to be the backbone of job creation in any economy. And if you look at now the impact we're supposed to expect in terms of job creation for the youth, I don't think they have done that good. And if you look at it, even look at some of the key sectors that drives Kenyan economy, look at manufacturing sector, they are again struggling. Look at even some of the key sectors, look at even the banking sector. We were just discussing offline in terms of the result that banks are now giving out. Again, indicate that there are a lot of issues going on that need to be addressed. So in totality, if you look at again the project the government was rolling out, look at even the NYS project that they came out, so that they could at least they could give youths job. Again, they were riddled by a lot of corruption and some of the allegations that still even up now not been clarified. So if you look at it in totality in terms of enterprise development, again ensuring entrepreneurship, a lot of it again can also be blamed on our education system, that also have emphasized more of that, like training people to be employed as opposed to creating to be job creators, which again is something that need to be addressed. We need to work on this right from the education system, so that as people graduates come out, we are sure that at least out of people that are coming out, half of them are job creators and not job seekers.
Interesting. We now want to engage our live audience, where we have students from different universities sitting in to listen into this interesting conversation. And we did see a couple of hands. I'd like us to make our comments quite brief and just talk to us about what is the way forward, because we've talked about, we've seen the Jubilee administration achieving this. On this side, they haven't achieved it. What would be your recommendations regarding what is the way forward? I saw some hands on that side. The gentleman at the front. Just make it less than a minute, please.
Okay, my name is Ken Matiba Humu from the Noble and Resilient University of Moi School of Law. My question is to the government. What is the government doing to make sure that we have a 24-hour economy nationwide?
Thank you.
And not only Koinange Street is running 24 hours.
Well, let's move to the next one.
Okay, I am Geoffrey Koech from Moi University School of Law. My recommendation to the government, they have a very good plan. The NYS, the Huduma Center, everything, it's very brilliant. But putting it into practice, we hear about the Eurobond and stuff like that. It's very shocking to the youth, because we are the ones who will come and pay this loan during our time. And on the help loans about the youth and university students, we have too much expectations on it, and if less funds will be given to the help board, we suffer as students. They should cut on corruption and divert that money to more meaningful things. Thank you.
Thanks.